Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you're a Form 3 or Form 4 pupil gearing up for those ZIMSEC ordinary level math exams, you are in exactly the right place. Whether you're just starting your O-level journey or you're hitting the final stretch of revision, consider this session your absolute bedrock. We're stripping away all the complex theorems today and going straight back to the foundations. Why? Well, here's the secret to ZIMSEC math. The hardest algebraic equations usually don't fall apart because you don't understand algebra. They fall apart because of a tiny, silent arithmetic error way back in step 1. So, the crucial point for this entire 12-month mastery program is this. You do not move forward until you have a rock-solid, calculator-free understanding of the basics. We're adopting a super strict mastery mindset today. Just roughly understanding it, not going to cut it. Getting most of the practice questions right, also not enough. You have to literally earn your progress. And that means doing the work without hesitation, without a calculator propping up your arithmetic, and definitely without needing a teacher hovering over your shoulder to point out mistakes. Real quick, here's our roadmap for today's boot camp. First, the Mastery Rulebook. Second, the Diagnostic Check. Third, Mastering Directed Numbers. Fourth, the Order of Operations. Fifth, Laws of Indices. And finally, number 6, the Final Gate. We're going to lay out the rules, test your baseline, and then build you back up with absolute precision. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Mastery Rulebook, earning your way to Lesson 2. Before we crunch a single number, we really need to agree on exactly how we learn. Think about why this strictness is absolutely crucial. When it comes to math, almost right is just flat out wrong. If you just glance at a correction, nod your head and say, oh yeah, I see what I did, I promise you haven't actually learned it. You've got to physically write it out correctly, from scratch, completely unaided. Why? Because a silent sign error right now will absolutely ruin your algebra chapters later on. If you're even a little shaky on indices today, your quadratic equations, logarithms, and studs in the coming months will all be subtly wrong and you won't even know why. This isn't just a warm-up, this is the real math applied. Moving right along to Section 2, the Diagnostic Check. Consider this the reality check. We need to find out exactly where your foundations currently stand before we start building on them. You're going to take 10 minutes and tackle these 10 questions completely cold without a calculator. Pause and really look at what's being asked here. We've got addition of negative numbers, double negatives, basic order of operations, zero powers, negative powers in standard form. Doing this tells you exactly what you need to focus on before you waste any time reteaching yourself things you already know, or even worse, trying to build on concepts you don't fully grasp yet. Let's be brutally honest. Did you score fewer than an 8 out of 10? If you did, please do not rush this explainer. Expect to spend a little extra time going over exactly where you stumbled. Score yourself completely honestly here. If you dropped marks, it just means you have cracks in the foundation. And hey, that is exactly why we're here today. Slow and solid always beats fast and fragile. You have time to get this right, so let's get into the mechanics. Which brings us to Section 3, Mastering Directed Numbers, avoiding those silent sign errors. Let's conquer this pillar right now, because pretty much every formula you rearrange from here on out is going to involve negative numbers. I want you to visualize a number line in your head. Moving to the right means adding, moving to the left means subtracting. This has to become totally automatic for you. If you start at -5 and add 3, you move right to -2. This visual applies heavily to multiplication and division too, just like they outline in the new general mathematics textbooks. Remember the core rules? A positive times a positive is positive. A negative times a negative is positive. But a negative times a positive, that always gives you a negative. It's the hidden picture underneath every single algebraic rule that follows. All right, Section 4, the order of operations, the hierarchy of mathematics. You see, you cannot just read a math problem from left to right like you're reading a sentence in English. Math has a very strict chain of command. You must memorize this sequence. You solve brackets first, then indices or powers, then multiplication and division from left to right, and finally, addition and subtraction from left to right. Say you have an equation like 3 + 5 × 2. We all have that one friend who gets 16 by adding the 3 and 5 first. Don't be that friend. You multiply 5 and 2 to get 10, then add the 3 to get 13. This hierarchy is totally non-negotiable. Now, these 15 practice questions force you to apply those exact rules without any calculator crutches. Look specifically at question 10. It literally forces you to evaluate operations to see if order matters. Spoiler alert, it definitely does. And here's the mastery rule applied in real life. If you get 3 or more wrong in a practice set like this, you stop. You go back, relearn the underlying concept, and you start the whole set over. Zero partial credit here. Next up, Section 5, Laws of Indices. This is your bridge to algebra. These rules are non-negotiable because they're going to pop up everywhere. In logarithms, surds, quadratics, if this section is shaky, it is going to cost you marks across at least 5 separate topics over the next year. The mechanics here are actually pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Multiplying powers of the same base means adding the indices, while dividing means subtracting them. Think about why this is true for a second. X squared times x cubed is essentially 2x's multiplying 3x's. Count them all up and you literally have x to the power of 5. It's really just a shortcut for counting. And when you divide, you're just canceling pairs out. Once you master this, algebraic fractions will become totally second nature to you.
And this actually ties perfectly into standard form. Look at how a decimal fraction like 0.003 is elegantly expressed as 3 times 10 to the power of -3. As detailed in the new General Mathematics Book 3, standard form is just a highly practical application of those laws of indices to represent very large or very small numbers efficiently. When you move the decimal comma to the left for large numbers, your power of 10 is positive. When you move it to the right for decimal fractions, your power of 10 is negative.
Okay, we've made it to Section 6, the final gate. This is where you earn your way out of Lesson 1. Everything we've covered today, directed numbers, order of operations, indices, and standard form, it all comes together right here. This mixed mastery test is basically your final boss. You have to complete these without a calculator, and if you match the answer key perfectly, congratulations, you've earned your way forward. This isn't designed to trick you guys, it's designed to protect you. It ensures you don't step into advanced algebra with a massive hole in your shoe. So take your time, show all your working, and hold yourself to the highest possible standard. Remember, passing doesn't just mean getting a decent grade. In this context, it means achieving 100% mastery so your foundation can never, ever be shaken. The ZIMSEC syllabus is incredibly unforgiving if your basics are weak, but it is deeply rewarding if your foundation is bulletproof. Think about it. Every complex problem you will face in the exam is really just a series of simple steps. If you've mastered the simple steps, those complex problems completely cease to be intimidating. Since Lesson 2 brings immediate algebraic manipulation, things like substitution, simplifying expressions, and finding highest common factors, every single one of today's skills will reappear instantly. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Are you truly ready to manipulate algebraic equations in Lesson 2? Or do you need to go back to the start and earn it? Take the time to get this right. I promise, your future self will thank you.